with her. No, she's not audible.
Renuka ma'am, please start.
Should I start?
Yes.
Yes. A very good morning to one and all. At the beginning, I take this opportunity to welcome all the participants, the teachers from collaborating colleges, and all the student friends to this online session of BA Semester 4, Major English Language. Dear student friends, you must be aware that it has been quite a long time we have started with this online sessions, and these sessions are specially structured to meet with these growing needs of the students who are actually meeting with the demands of increasing amount of syllabus that they need to cover, they need to understand, and they need to perform in the examinations. And we have arranged these virtual lectures from with the help of experts in the field, and we are trying and designing the study material for the benefit of the students. So it is totally a philanthropical activity on the parts of the organizers. I sincerely thank the principal of all collaborating colleges for taking up this responsibility and for giving us full freedom to execute this activity. My request to all the participants is to make the most of this opportunity. We have 5 collaborating colleges: VASANTRAO NAIK Government Institute of Arts and Social Sciences, MANOHARRAO KAMDI MAHAVIDYALAYA Nagpur, SETH KESARIMAL PORWAL College Kamki, RENUKA Mahavidyalaya Besa, RAJKUMAR KANYA Mahavidyalaya Nagpur. I wish to thank all the stakeholders, principals, coordinators, and members of management from esteemed colleges for their unconditional support. Dear student friends, today we are going to study a very wonderful poem by Dr. Supanta Bhattacharya, Epic Hero. And in order to deliver this poem, one of Sir's student, Dr. Abhirami George, she has come up. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. George. Dr. Abhirami has done her BE in Electronics and Telecommunications from St. Vincent Pallotti College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur. She started her career as a software engineer in Tech Mahindra, Pune. She did her MA in English Literature from Postgraduate Teaching Department of English, Nagpur. She was the topper in the department and she secured first division. She stood third in University Merit List. Madam has cleared her UGC NET and SETH examination in English subject. Later, she joined as assistant professor in Department of English at Hislop College, Nagpur. She has been awarded her PhD from Nagpur University, and she has many research publications of national and international level to her credit. She has also authored some books and published a poetry collection between sips and seasons. I'm really happy, Abhirami Madam, to introduce you today. And Madam is an academician, core academician, and she is a wonderful leader and she enjoys teaching. And dear student friends, today you're going to really enjoy this session. I welcome you, Abhirami Madam, to this online platform.
Thank you so much, Renuka ma'am. I hope I'm audible now.
Yes. A little bit louder will be more advisable. A little bit louder.
I have try to, let me see if anything can be seen.
Yes, ma'am. If it is full voice, then it's okay.
Yes, unmute. Unmute Abhirami.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can hear her.
I
She's having two devices. Yeah, you can.
Okay, she's having device.
my computer's audio is not working, so I have joined using my mobile. So I hope this is more audible now.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Renuka ma'am, for introducing me with such warm words. I welcome all of you to this day's lecture. Shall I share my screen?
Yes, yes.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Today's topic is Epic Hero, a poem by Professor Supan Bhattacharya. A brief introduction about the poet. Professor Supan Bhattacharya is a contemporary Indian academic and a poet who is associated with Hislop College, Nagpur. As a writer, Dr. Bhattacharya works within the broad stream of Indian English poetry that reinterprets classical and mythic ideas for a post colonial and postmodern readership. Dr. Bhattacharya's work contributes to the ongoing diversification of English literature, reminding us that significant poetic voices can also emerge from college classrooms beyond metropolitan centers. Now, at the first glance, let's look at the title. The title of the poem is Epic Hero. So, at a first glance, the title Epic Hero, it immediately brings to mind grand, larger than life warriors from Mahabharata, figures like Arjun or Karna, who are celebrated for their courage, strength, and battlefield glory. However, the poem does something unexpected. It challenges this very idea of heroism by bringing it into the realm of ordinary human experience. To understand this shift, it is important to understand two terms. First, what is epic and who is an epic hero? So let's look at that. So, what is an epic? An epic is a long narrative poem that recounts heroic deeds in grand settings such as wars, kingdoms, or cosmic conflicts. It typically features larger than life characters and explores themes like duty, fate, honor, and morality. A classic example of Indian epic would be Mahabharata and Ramayana. Mahabharata, which centers on the Kurukshetra war and dives deep into the ethical dilemma and concepts. Similarly, we have Ramayana. Ramayana narrates the story of Ram, highlighting ideals of righteousness and duty. Beyond Indian literature, we have examples of Greek epics, Roman epics, English epics. In Greek epics, we have Iliad and Odyssey by Homer, which present heroes like Achilles, Odysseus. They embody bravery, honor, and perseverance. Roman epic Aeneas follows Aeneas and it emphasizes duty and destiny. While in English literature, we have Milton's Paradise Lost, which explores the profound themes of free will, temptation, and rebellion through figures like Satan, Adam, and Eve. Thus, an epic is not merely a story, but a grand narrative of human struggle on a vast scale, shaping cultural and moral values. Now, who is an epic hero? An epic hero correspondingly is the central figure of such narratives, someone who is endowed with exceptional courage, strength, and who is guided by a strong sense of duty, who is capable of facing immense challenges. These heroes often encounter moral dilemmas and that test their character. For instance, we have Arjun, who struggles with the ethics of war. We have Ram, who upholds righteousness even at a personal cost. We have Achilles, who is powerful, yet he reveals deep emotional complexity. Such heroes are not ordinary individuals. They operate at extraordinary circumstances and influence the fate of entire nations. It is precisely this traditional understanding that Dr. Supan Bhattacharya reworks in the poem. So now, while the title suggests grandeur, heroic glory, the opening line, which is visible on the screen, this life of mine, puny, trivial, and unheroic. This line, right in the beginning, immediately undercuts that expectation. Instead of a warrior on a battlefield, the poem presents an ordinary individual who grapples with the daily struggles, confusion, defeat, and emotional pain. This contrast creates a powerful irony. The epic hero in this poem is not a legendary figure, but a common ordinary man, a common ordinary person. Through this irony, the poem redefines heroism. It suggests that one does not need to fight in Kurukshetra to be heroic. Everyday life itself is an epic battle. The poet becomes an epic hero not by achieving grand victories or performing extraordinary deeds, but by enduring suffering, facing injustice, and continuing despite the exhaustion and uncertainty. I hope the first stanza is visible. Let's look at the screen. For the students who might have joined, I request to please refer the textbook as well if the screen is not visible. So in the first stanza, we have the following line. This life of mine, puny, trivial, and unheroic, is still a do or die war, where my wheel often sinks into the earth, and I forget how to summon my weapons. So the opening stanza of Epic Hero draws a parallel between the ordinary life and grand conflicts of Mahabharata, particularly the Kurukshetra War. Now, Kurukshetra War, it was a legendary 18-day battle that was fought between the two camps. We have Pandavas and Kauravas, and both of them are also cousins. And this Kurukshetra War, it was fought for the throne of Hastinapur. So this war was filled with shifting commandership or leadership. It started on day one, it started with the commandership of Bhishma Pitama. It moved on to Dronacharya, then ultimately to Karna. And the reason for this shift is, of course, explanatory, self-explanatory. They either died or were incapacitated. So in the first day, the command was in the hands of Bhishma Pitama. And this intense personal rivalry becomes a symbolic backdrop for understanding the poet's inner struggle. So during this struggle, during the fight, Karna's chariot, the wheel of the chariot gets stuck in the mud, and that we can see in the line where my wheel often sinks into the earth, and I forget how to summon my weapons. So here, while the wheel was stuck, it left him feeling helpless. At the same time, he is struck by a curse. So you need to understand a little bit of background. Karna, when he was young, he seeked education, he seeked knowledge, but not knowing his background, not knowing the birth origin, he could not directly approach any teacher. So therefore, he used deception, and using deception, he got his knowledge from the very famous Parshuram. Now, Parshuram is a character well known for his temper, but in this particular incident, it was a valid anger. Once he came to know that Karna used deception to seek knowledge from him, his mentor, the teacher, Parshuram, struck Karna with a curse that no student would ever want to face in life. And the curse was that all the knowledge that you have learned from me using deception, you will forget at one key moment in your life, the crucial do or die moment in your life. And that curse strikes him the day he is facing his rival, the adversary, Arjun. So while he is dueling with Arjun, a moment comes when the wheel gets stuck in the mud and he's struck by the curse and he doesn't know how to summon his weapon. So, this crucial moment, Karna is rendered helpless. And this helplessness is not just physical helplessness, he's mentally fatigued as well because he forgets all the incantations he needs to summon the powerful weapons, the divine weapons. And that happens due to the curse. So, this moment of vulnerability ultimately leads to his defeat and death. So, by invoking this episode, the poet captures a deeply human experience, the feeling of being capable yet suddenly powerless when it matters most. So, you have to understand that Karna is capable because he had all the skills, he had the education, he had the knowledge. But in that moment, he is incapacitated. He loses all of his information. He loses all of his skills. So that emphasizes helplessness at critical moments, times when one often feels stuck, unable to act despite knowing what must be done. So stuck, let's look at the line again, where my wheel often sinks into the earth. Now, what is the purpose of a wheel in a chariot? It is this wheel that drives the chariot ahead for to propels it ahead. And when we connected to the modern life, what the poet is implying is that oftentimes he feels stuck. He sees no progress in his life. He does not understand what to do, where to go. So the line, this life of mine, puny, trivial, and unheroic, is still a do or die war. This line immediately establishes a contrast between the apparent smallness of individual existence and the magnitude of battles one faces within. So the poet describes life as small, ordinary, and not heroic at all. They feel insignificant. They feel they are so unlike heroes of the epic. Even though, even though life may seem ordinary, it feels like a serious battle. So while ordinary everyday life is full of struggles, the emotion is intense and important. And the reference of the line, my wheel often sinks into the earth, it alludes to the moment when Karna was stuck on the 17th day of war, and the chariot wheel gets stuck in the mud during the battle or duel with Arjun. And he says, "I forget how to summon my weapons." So at this key moment, the poet is implying that there are times in ordinary life when one loses confidence, clarity, or ability, even when one is capable. So the poet often feels stuck in life where he feels he is unable to move forward or see any progress in his life. Secondly, through this imagery, the poet connects the individual's internal battles with the grandeur of mythological warfare. The opening, therefore, sets the tone for the entire poem by redefining life itself as an epic battle which is fought on intense personal level. These are the meanings of the few words in the line. Puny, which implies very small, weak, somebody who is not powerful or impressive. Trivial, that means unimportant or something of little value. Unheroic, again, not brave or glorious like a traditional hero. Second stanza. At other times, my adversary incapacitates me with illegitimate blows or throws me to the ground and ripping my chest apart brings my heart blood to his fill. Let's look at the few words. Adversary here is enemy. Incapacitate. Incapacitate means to make someone unable to do something. So unable to act, unable to fight, unable to function. Illegitimate blows. Illegitimate blows, it implies unfair hits, acts that do not follow rules. Now, rules exactly we have to understand with context of the war. So, rules of Kurukshetra war or rules of any war. So, illegitimate blows means unfair hits that do not follow the rules or ethical rules of war. Heart blood, blood from heart, it symbolizes one's life force or even the deepest energy. Now we have a few examples of illegitimate laws from Mahabharata. These are the four examples that I could think of. Now, since it's an epic, we have plenty of examples, but these are the examples that we are going to focus on. We have Bhishma Pitama's fall. It was done using Shikhandi. Then we have Dronacharya's death, which was done using the false report. Now, these two incidences we are going to see in the coming stanzas. Karna's death, that is what we have seen in the very first stanza, where Karna on the 17th day of Kurukshetra war, 16th days when he got the commandership, 17 days when he faced Arjuna, and in that moment, the curse strikes, his wheel gets stuck, and when he was trying to bring out the wheel of the chariot from the mud, he was unarmed warrior. And it is in that moment that Arjun strikes him. Arjun was went through hesitation, but he was guided by Krishna. And for striking against Adharma, they used this deceitful method. So, unarmed warrior was struck and he died. So it is, of course, what we say illegitimate blow. It did not follow the rules of warfare. Killing of Abhimanyu, it was a violation of war ethics because we have this young warrior who was facing seven Maharathis. So seven Maharathis fought against one. And at the end of it, even he was left weaponless. But instead of going back, these Maharathis killed him. So these are the examples of illegitimate blows in the poem. So, in the second stanza of Epic Hero, we see a clear shift from the helplessness of the first stanza to a darker portrayal of injustice and violence in life. The poet now presents life not just as a difficult battle, but as one that is often unfair and brutal. This idea is reinforced through several references to Mahabharata, where even the great warriors face situations in which the rules of war are broken. For instance, Abhimanyu is killed unfairly by multiple warriors, violating the ethics of battle. Similarly, Bhishma is brought down with the help of Shikhandi, which exploited his moral restraint. The death of Dronacharya through a half truth about Ashwatthama and the killing of Karna while he is unarmed further highlights how war ethics are repeatedly violated. Drawing from these episodes, the poet suggests that life, like the battlefield, does not always follow the rules. The phrase illegitimate blows clearly indicates that the struggles one faces are often unfair and unexpected. At times, life seems to act like a powerful adversary, overpowering the individual completely and leaving him feeling helpless and defeated. Effort and strength do not always guarantee protection. One can be struck down when one is least prepared. The imagery in this stanza it becomes intensely violent, with the expressions such as being thrown to the ground, having one's chest ripped apart, and one's heart blood being consumed. These images are with reference to Bhima and Dushasan. Now, Bhima and Dushasan again are two epic heroes from Mahabharata. They are again from the two separate camps. Bhima is a part of Pandavas, and Dushasan comes from the camp of Kauravas. So they are central figures in Mahabharata, and their relationship it is defined by extreme enmity. This enmity stems from the deep humiliation of Draupadi in the Kuru court. Bhima, who is the second Pandava brother, is also known for his unmatched physical strength. And in that moment, when Draupadi was insulted, he vowed to kill Dushasan. Dushasan, who is the second of 100 Kaurava brothers. And he vowed this to avenge the atrocities that were committed against his wife, Draupadi. So Bhima swore that he would kill Dushasan, rip open his chest, and drink his blood, or he would not face his ancestors. We have other references where we know that Draupadi refused to tie up her hair until and unless she got to wash the hair with the blood from Dushasan. So this is the vow that Bhima swore that he would kill Dushasan, rip open his chest, drink his blood, or he would not face his ancestors. And these images, they appear on surface level to be about physical assaults, but physical harm. But they also imply emotional and mental exhaustion. The idea of drinking hard blood suggests total depletion, feelings of burnout, mental fatigue, heartbreak. Overall, the stanza reflects experiences of betrayal, sudden crisis, moments where one feels extremely powerless, completely powerless. It also deepens the idea that life is not merely a struggle to be endured, but can also be cruel, unjust, and draining. Moving on to the third stanza. And oh, the deceptions I daily face when I lower my guard, believing elephants to be dead sons, or not raising arms against a weaker sex, from behind whom my beloved showers arrow after arrow and pierces me. So in the third stanza, the speaker now talks about deception and moral confusion in life. We have to focus on these few lines. Believing elephants to be dead sons. So this is one of the examples I gave in the previous slide. So Dronacharya, when he became the mentor, the commander of the army, the Pandavas soon realized like it was very difficult to fight against their own teacher, their own mentor. And no matter what they did, they could not defeat Dronacharya. So they seek again one method to bring down Dronacharya, and they relied on deception. So Dronacharya had no one in his family except Ashwathama. Ashwathama was his only son, and he was the apple of his eye. So that was that vulnerable point for Dronacharya. And realizing this, the Pandavas decided to use this. So, in the middle of the warfare, while the battle was going on, Bhima loudly proclaimed that Ashwathama is dead. But Dronacharya, being a smart person, he refused to believe it. He said that unless Yudhishthir repeats this, I won't believe it. And now, why Yudhishthir? Because Yudhishthir was known for being truthful. He was one person who would never lie. So, what to do in this situation? In this situation, the Pandavas found this white elephant, which was named Ashwathama, and they slayed that elephant. And then Yudhishthir loudly proclaimed that Ashwathama is dead. I hope. Oh, one minute. Can I stop sharing? I think my laptop is running out of charge.
Yes, Abhirami?
Ma'am, I'll just stop sharing for a moment. I need to connect the charging point of my laptop.
Okay, okay. Take your time.
Hi, I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, yes, it is visible.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So now Yudhishthir, he saw that the elephant named Ashwathama has been slayed. So he loudly proclaimed that Ashwathama is dead. But he whispered the truth that Ashwathama was actually an elephant. So using this deception, they slayed Dronacharya because the moment he came to know Ashwathama is dead, he laid down his weapons and he sat down in Samadhi. And it is in this moment that he was slayed. So here it is implying how one can be misled by half truths and how one's trust can be manipulated. Then then we have or not raising arms against a weaker sex, from behind whom my beloved showers arrow after arrow and pierces me. So this is with reference to Bhishma and Shikhandi. And here, Bhishma was known for his ethics. He had one rule. He had several rules, but the one right now that we are referring to is how he would refuse to raise his hand against a woman. Weaker sex means woman. So Shikhandi was born a woman, though in the moment of Kurukshetra war, he was a prince. At the time of birth, he was born a woman. Then he undergoes or seeks transformation, and then he becomes a prince. Now, at the time of war, again, when Bhishma was commanding, for the Pandavas, it was very difficult to kill Bhishma or to defeat Bhishma. So they relied on the deception. They used Shikhandi. They knew that Bhishma would never hit a woman. So they kept Shikhandi in front of the chariot, and behind him, Arjun hit and used the bow and arrow to hit Bhishma. Bhishma knew the precision and the hit of the arrows was certainly not coming from Shikhandi, but he did not raise his arm because he believed in the ethics. And same ethics were used against him. So Bhishma refuses to fight Shikhandi, and Arjun attacks Bhishma from behind Shikhandi. And this incident tells you how principles can make you vulnerable, and other people may exploit your morality or kindness. So in the third stanza, now the poet So in the third stanza, the poet talks about deception and moral confusion. How poets or the people, ordinary people, are often misled when they trust too easily, when one hesitates to act because of ethical values, and the very hesitation can be used against one. So life is not just painful, it is now deceptive and morally complicated. This stanza moves beyond pain and injustice into psychological and ethical struggles. The poet here reflects on how life is not only difficult but also misleading. The line, when I lower my guard, it suggests moments of trust when one feels safe and open. However, these very moments often lead to one being deceived, as it is seen in the line, the deceptions I daily face. I daily face, that indicates that the betrayal is not occasional, but it's a recurring part of life. This stanza also highlights moral dilemmas, where the poet chooses to act ethically but suffers because of it. The line, not raising arms against a weaker sex, reflects a decision to follow moral principles. Yet, this very choice becomes a weakness as others take advantage of it. This reveals a painful truth. Doing the right thing does not always protect one. It does not protect a person from harm. In fact, it can sometimes make one more vulnerable. Another striking idea in the stanza is betrayal from the unexpected. The phrase, my beloved pierces me. It suggests that hurt does not always come from the enemy, but also comes from people who are trusted and close to you. This makes the pain deeper, more personal. So ultimately, it tells you that your principles can make you vulnerable, others may exploit your morality or kindness. Moving on to the last stanza. And yet I endure, yet I do not fall. I refuse to embrace Ichamrityu, hoping against hope for the dark one to someday bring me between the conflicting armies and sing out the meaning of it all. So, in the final stanza of Epic Hero, it brings a powerful shift in the poem. It moves from the struggle and confusion to endurance, hope, and search for meaning. After describing the pain, injustice, and deception, the speaker now focuses on the response to all of it. The poet now is focusing on what should be one's response. The line, yet I endure, yet I do not fall, it shows strong determination. That despite everything one has faced, the poet refuses to give up. It redefines heroism not as somebody who wins battles, but as someone who continues to stand and survive. The repetition of yet I endure, yet I do not fall, it emphasizes resilience. It suggests that no matter how many times life becomes difficult, the poet keeps going. The next line, I refuse to embrace Ichamrityu. Now, Ichamrityu was the one boon that Bhishma Pitama had. He was the only one who had that boon. In modern context, the poet told me that Ichamrityu could also mean suicide. So here, the line, I refuse to embrace Ichamrityu, refers to the idea of choosing one's own death, which is associated with Bhishma in Mahabharata. By rejecting this, the poet makes it clear that the poet will not escape from life's struggles. Instead, he chooses to face life fully, no matter how painful it gets. The dark one. Now, people who are familiar with Mahabharata know that the dark one is a reference to Krishna. But for the people who are non-believers, non-religious, dark one can also refer to death. This is one of the insights from the poet himself, who is also a non-believer. So he felt that dark one, of course, for the believers, it would be Krishna, and for the non-believers, it could also refer to death. So the dark one, we are going back to the context of Mahabharata, the dark one refers to Krishna, who guides Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. So in the beginning of the war, when Arjun is standing there, and whom does he see? He sees all his family members, his elders, his teachers, his cousins are standing right opposite sides. He has to face them, he has to fight them, and he has to kill them. So in that moment of conflict, he refuses to fight. And it is Krishna, his mentor and guide, who takes him between the two conflicting armies. And for a moment, the time is paused, and Krishna explains the meaning of war and the purpose of war, which becomes part of Bhagavad Gita. Here, in this stanza, the poet, instead of wishing for understanding or having a deeper knowledge of war, here a similar moment of clarity is sought. Here, the poet seeks to be placed between the conflicting armies. But the need here is to understand the purpose behind life struggle. He does not wish to win any war. Instead, he seeks a clarity on life's purpose. Now, in Mahabharata, the conflicting armies were, of course, the Kauravas and Pandavas. But in modern life, the conflicting armies, it symbolizes both the external pressure and internal conflict, doubts, fears, and confusion. So the desire here is to hear the meaning of it all. It shows that the poet is not just trying to survive, but to understand life itself. Thus, the final stanza presents the poet as someone with endurance who refuses to escape and who has a deep longing for wisdom and meaning of life. In conclusion, Epic Hero by Dr. Supang Bhattacharya redefines heroism by comparing ordinary life to the grand battles of Mahabharata and the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. The speaker describes life as a struggle marked by helplessness, injustice, deception, and moral conflict. Through references to epic characters and events, the poem shows that everyday life challenges can be as intense as mythological wars. Ultimately, it presents true heroism as endurance, resilience, and the courage to continue despite suffering, along with a deep desire to find meaning and guidance in life's conflict. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. If there are any questions, I would love to hear from you.
Yes. Is there any doubt among the students? Pratiksha Singh, you were there right from the beginning. Rafia, you joined late today.
Yes, ma'am.
But this was very difficult poem with lot many, allusions and examples from mythology. And Madam George has very nicely and elaborately explained all the mythological references, that you students might not know. So my request to all the students once again to hear the YouTube lecture of Madam.
Rafi, if you have any confusion, you can ask me. Have you actually seen or
Yes,
read
I was
Mahabharata?
here today because this was a very difficult poem that Madam dealt with, and although it looks very short, but the poem is full of references that the student nowadays they do not know.
Yeah,
They are
I
not
enjoyed
acquainted with.
teaching it in class as well, but my students had a little bit of background knowledge of Mahabharata. But I feel that not everyone knows it.
Not
So,
everyone.
Rafia, I
Not
hope
everyone.
it was clear for you. But if you have any doubts, you can ask.
Pratiksha,
Yeah, Pratiksha.
Pratiksha.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Any
yes.
doubts? You
Any
can ask me.
doubts?
No, ma'am, no.
Huh?
Okay. So it's
You
either
were
all
I
clear or did not
understand.
understand it.
yes.
Only I want to ask, ma'am, the main message of this uh,
Okay.
The main
poem.
message is basically what I showed in the last concluding slide, that here the epic battle is that of life struggle, and epic hero becomes an ordinary man who faces those conflicts on daily basis, and those intense struggles are equivalent to the Kurukshetra war's conflict itself. And in the last stanza, what we see is that endurance and the ability to face those conflicts on day-to-day basis is what makes him epic hero. That's the idea. So
Right.
focus on the last slide. That is the
Okay,
overall
thank you,
summary
ma'am.
of the whole.
Yes.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, Ratio, for asking.
Rafia, Yesterday we listened to Madam Rakunde's lecture on the courage, and after the lecture I explained that courage is not something that only the police officers, CRPF officers or military people they are supposed to exhibit. We also on everyday life, in so many ways we have been challenged. We have to stretch out our abilities, and we are faced with these circumstances where we have to be heroic and courageous. So this is the crux of the poem, that epic hero that Abhirami madam has so nicely and wonderfully depicted. You go through the text once again. Go through the text once again and listen to this video once again. You'll get to know, and every line, every reference, every allusion has been very nicely, very elaborately explained, and it is for undergraduate level students. This will be a really kind of great help and asset. Okay. Thank you very much, Abhirami. Thank you for your wonderful lecture and very nice PPT. I would say nice PPT.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers and coordinators of this online lecture series for the kind of initiative and inviting me to serve as a resource person. It has been a pleasure to engage with such collaborative academic initiative that involves esteemed institutions. I truly appreciate the efforts of the organizers, Dr. Manohar Kumbhare, Dr. Usha Sakure, Dr.
Dahad.
Swapnil Dahat, Dr. Devi Nayak, Dr. Atul Mahajan, and Dr. Anita Hemani, and the coordinators Dr. Kapil Singhel, Dr. Meenakshi Vashnik, Dr. Renuka Roy, Dr. Vaishalin Mishra, Dr. Abdul Shamim, and Dr. Madhvi Muharrel. I hope this exercise will be truly beneficial for all the students. Thank you so much for considering me as a resource person. It was a wonderful experience. And thank you so much, Rafia and Pratiksha, for the questions. Thank you, Renuka ma'am, for introducing me. And thank you, Meenakshi ma'am, for coordinating. It was a smooth experience for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Abhirami. It was a wonderful session.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. Very nice.
So, Renuka ma'am, can we take over the second session?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
Okay.
Ready?
So, dear students, for the second session, we are honored to have a very eminent resource person, Dr. Renuka Roy, madam, with us. I welcome you, ma'am, in today's session. Madam is currently working as a professor of English in SETH KESARIMAL PORWAL College, KAMDI, for more than a decade. Her wide spectrum of phenomenal academic and research work urges one to remember, celebrate, and seek connections between people from all walks of life. Madam is a member of Board of Studies in English. Her area of interest is feminist studies, diasporic literature, and Indo-Caribbean studies. She considers herself a lifelong learner and an academician. So, with due respect, I now invite Dr. Renuka Roy, madam, to deliver her insightful lecture. The platform is all yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Meenakshi Vasnik, madam. At the outset, let me take this opportunity to thank Dr. Meenakshi Vasnik, madam, for her, constant, persistent, interest and dedicated involvement in this online lecture series. We may say that she is the captain of this ship, and because of her dedication, because of her techno savvy way, and the way she is training us, we are quite naive in this field, training us, and it is really a great contribution, because the era is multimodal learning era. Nowadays the students, they do not want to attend the physical classes, but they are highly interested in these virtual platforms. So without making much ado, let me share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yes.
There is a small screen popping up. You just minimize that.
Yeah. Okay.
Minimize it.
Minimize. Okay. Now is it okay,
Yes,
Meenakshi madam?
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am. It's so.
yes. Dear student friends, let me once again welcome you to this online lecture series of BA Semester 4 Major English Language. This series has been designed for both a T7 and T8 paper. And in today's session, we are going to deal with the prose Nisha story by Dr. Suchita Marathe madam. So, this one, as we had already discussed in the morning, this is a collaborating efforts of 5 colleges: VASANTRAO NAIK Government Institute of Arts and Social Sciences, Nagpur; MANOHARRAO KAMDI MAHAVIDYALAYA, Nagpur; SETH KESARIMAL PORWAL College, Kamdi; Dr. M.K. UMATHE College, Nagpur; RENUKA College, Besa, Nagpur; RAJKUMAR KEWALRAMANI KANYA Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur. I take this opportunity to thank all the stakeholders, principals, and organizers for this wonderful initiative. Before we move ahead, let us take a kind of brief overview of the author of this beautiful story, Nisha's story. The author is Dr. Suchita Marathe. Madam is currently working as Professor of English in Srimati Binzani Mahila Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur. And she served as the Vice Principal and IQSC Coordinator of college. Madam is an active member of Board of Studies in English right now, and she is dedicatedly involved in designing, framing, and drafting the syllabus that the students are studying for BA curriculum. Madam has to her credit this story, a collection of short stories, The Battle of Troy and Other Stories, that explores the existential crisis and human drive to support family and community. And another work of Dr. Marathe is From Casserole of Life, a collection of blending observational narrative with reflective prose. This fiction, Nisha's story, that we are going to study today, it highlights the theme of gender, different agencies like patriarchy, and ethics from the point of view of the teacher. So let us move with the story first, and then by the end of the story, I'll once again talk about these central themes. What is gender? What are the agencies that the story deals with? And what ethics the story harps on. Let us take an overview of the plot, Nisha's story. So, the narrative style in this present story is first person account from the perspective of a college teacher. And the teacher, she is not only satisfied with the act of teaching, but she is a fine mentor, philosopher, and guide of a student who is facing some real life challenge. We In the story, there is a rise of conflict where Nisha, a studious student, she faces the threat of getting married earlier, and she is worried because this early marriage would have the threat of derailing her educational career. She doesn't want to get married so early because her dream is to pursue some career, and she is a studious student, and she is highly disturbed and nervous with her father's insistence on getting her married before he gets retired. Now in the story, we come upon that there is a strategy that her mentor uses with the help of her daughter Praveena. Nisha's mentor, the narrator of the story, here uses a pragmatic approach. She advises Nisha to enroll herself in a professional course and thus buy time and eventually delay the marriage. The resolution is that reinforces education as an assist agency. This narrator here uses education as an agency, as a way, as a medium through which Nisha could pursue her educational career. She could delay her wedding, and she could buy some time for herself. Nisha achieves her goal of teaching and returns to campus as the chief guest by the end of the story. So the story ends on a positive note where the girl, she, with the help of her teacher, who is mentor and guide to her, could overcome these circumstances in her life, and she takes education. She completes her post graduation also, and even after getting married, she could finish her studies and she is working as a professional. Nisha comes to the same campus during some workshop in the college, and there she is shown to be very confident, and she delivers a wonderful lecture as a chief guest. Now, what are the key themes that the story harps on? The first one is female self-determination. Nisha is highly resolute. She wants to get education, and so is her teacher. She is successful of navigating and resisting patriarchal kinship structure. Now we will get to know about this patriarchal kinship structure, which has been represented in this story in the form of Nisha's father, who wants her to get married very soon, and Nisha's father's colleagues, who create a kind of peer pressure over her father to get his daughter married, so that he should be unburdening himself before he superannuates or retires. Social mobility. So the theme of the story, one of the themes of the story is social mobility. We get to know how the education has got a transformative power, and how the employment and education can bring out of a girl child, can bring out a kind of transformation in the outlook of the society. When Nisha gets her DED certificate, and when she is professionally qualified, her parents also thinks differently about her future alliance. They also want her to get married in a family where they respect the professional life of a woman, there where they believe in progress of a woman or women being progressive. Now there is another theme that we come across in this story, that is mentorship as care. The teacher, who is a professional teacher in a college, she doesn't remain only an agency to deliver the knowledge or information to her student, but she turns out to be a professional guide. She supports the student, and she helps the student achieve her aspirations. So here the teacher's role is more of a mentor, philosopher, and a guide. Dr. Marathe has wonderfully depicted different shades of a teacher who is not only disseminating knowledge, who is not only conveying the information, but a teacher who is always standing behind a student, very strongly supporting her professional aspirations. Now, there is another theme that the story deals with, that is incremental change. Instead of going for some melodrama, instead of doing some drama There is a quiet courage and a very meticulous and pragmatic planning that is at the heart of this story. So, Nisha and even her teacher, although they discuss that the teacher will mentor or guide or counsel her parents, she thinks over it. She tries to understand her own position, and then she realizes that instead of meddling in somebody's personal life, it is always better to encourage the student in a practical way and to find out a solution that will be more pragmatic, that will avoid the melodrama but bring out a positive change in the life of the student. So the story is very consciously written, as the narrator at the beginning of the story says, I'm consciously conscious. And the story has been woven wonderfully around these few themes, but the entire fabric of the story, it brings out the idea that if a teacher, if mentor is the well-wisher of a right student, the teacher has got the quality of acting as a touchstone and metamorphosing the entire life of a student, right? A good teacher can create a wonderful future for his or her student. Now, let us move ahead. How the story starts. The story begins with a cautious professor who notices the profound sadness on the face of a student, Nisha. Now, the teacher in winter morning climbing down the stairs, and she hears some sound, and somebody is calling from behind. This voice has got pain and some worries in it. Teacher takes pause, and when she climbs down the stairs, she meets a student who is very regular, who is very sincere. The name of our student, the student, is Nisha. She is not like her other counterparts. The other students in her college, they believe in 80-20 philosophy. That means 80% of fun and frolic and 20% of last minute cramming before the examinations. They believe in enjoying the life in the campus, enjoying the college life, and they feel that they can achieve their aim of passing the examination in last moment preparations. They are full of life. They are chirpy, bouncy, and they are fashionable, and they enjoy college life thoroughly. Nisha, on the other hand, is quite a different kind of student. She is characterized by her quiet nature, and she is academically very focused and serious. Now, when narrator meets Nisha at the staircase, she finds that Nisha is very worried and she is unhappy, and she wants to reveal something to her teacher. So, teacher asks Nisha to meet her in staff room. During a private meeting in the department, Nisha reveals through tears that her family has decided to marry her off immediately after her second year of graduation. So, Nisha, who is a serious student, she is facing a great, challenge now. She wanted to become a teacher. Nisha's dream of becoming a teacher, but in her social context, marriage represents a full stop to all professional aspirations. If a girl, she marries in the midst of her educational career, that ends her career there itself. So Nisha's family had earlier promised her that they would allow her to take her education till post graduation. Now, her father, who is about to get retired, he has been pressurized by his colleagues to get his daughter married. Why? Because the society considers wedding of a daughter as a burden. And before some financial uncertainties that might follow after superannuation, after retirement, society considers it advisable for a person to get all these responsibilities over before a person retires. So the family of Nisha had already initiated a formal search for a groom. They have enrolled themselves in matrimonial sites and they have told their relatives, and all these things Nisha relates to her teacher. This preparation done by her family leaves her feeling extremely helpless. She breaks down in tears in front of her teacher, and she feels helpless and highly inconsolable. It is through Nisha's narrative that the narrator or the teacher learns that Nisha's father is being influenced by peer pressure from colleagues to lighten his burden responsibility, that is marrying of his daughter before his retirement. Now Nisha, who is normally a very trepid girl, a very timid and very studious girl, she says she is so disturbed by this new development in her life that she announces that if such thing happen, she will run away from her house. The narrator is taken aback by this declaration from such a humble girl. Here, the narrator comments that might be Nisha is driven by the intoxication of ambition. Normally, Nisha is a timid girl, and it is unlikely that a girl like Nisha should threaten to run away. The professor cautioned her against such illogical and extreme steps. She tells her that if she behaves this way, she will not be pardoned by her teacher any longer. Now, the burden of all these thoughts, they hover over the mind of the teacher. The narrator struggles with her role. She thinks over what should be done. What is expected of me in such situation? Should I go ahead and talk to the family members and tell them, question them about their decision to marry such a studious daughter, girl, so earlier? Again, she questions her own right to interfere in somebody's family decision because Nisha is a major citizen. She has attained her legal age of getting married. And it is the parental decision as to when and where they want to get their daughter married. A teacher usually do not have anything to do with the personal life and decision of a student's family. However, the narrator advises Nisha to stay calm, not to get disturbed with this new development in her life, and attend her regular classes. She cautioned Nisha not to take any extreme steps because such steps might prove illogical and they might land her up in some greater trouble. However, the narrator herself could not find peace in her mind. The sad face of Nisha keeps on nibbling at her peace of mind. She could not have peaceful sleep at night. She was worried about the girl and her future. Although she was worried and troubled, but narrator had a hectic schedule. So finally she fell asleep. In the morning, when she woke up, narrator could hear the chirping of the birds. And she here found a kind of contrast between human mood swings and the simple routine of nature, the chirping of birds. And she prays for enlightenment and for a solution. In the morning, there comes some developmental activities. Narrator's domestic help, Asha Bai, she arrives in the scene. The narrator, Asha Bai, could find out that the narrator is worried with some thought in her mind. The helper Asha Bai discusses the matter with narrator. Narrator's daughter unexpectedly takes a thoughtful lead in the decision. The name of narrator's daughter is Praveena. She is a smart, young, and modern girl who intervenes and who gives a very practical solution to the narrator. Praveena suggests a strategy to delay Nisha's impending, wedding. She asks narrator to make Nisha persuade her parents to let her enroll in a DED, that is Diploma in Education course immediately after graduation. This professional course would provide, here there is some mistake, immediately before graduation, and then she said that she should continue with her graduation, she should take a break and she should do her diploma first. This professional course would provide Nisha with a job competent qualification for primary teaching and eventually buy time for her while keeping her dream alive. Nisha wanted to become a teacher. This professional course will make her professionally qualified and she'll be eligible to serve as the primary teacher. The professor becomes deeply worried, and after hearing this solution, the narrator also feels that this might be a very effective, way of delaying Nisha's wedding. She goes to college with an expectation to meet Nisha. But contrary to her expectation, Nisha could not be found in college on that day. The professor becomes deeply worried when she cannot find Nisha at college. She calls her up, but Nisha fails to answer her phone. This, intensifies the feeling of fear in the professor's mind. She fears that the student might have acted on her threat to run away. Gradually, the narrator ponder over Nisha as a student. she realizes that Nisha has become her favorite student because some of her extraordinary qualities. Although initially she shrugs off all those ideas of some student being her favorite, because ethically, to a teacher, all her students are equal. Nisha has got some extraordinary qualities and very unique work ethics. She has got distinct attitude which stand out against more privileged or less motivated students. Here, narrator ponders over her own role as a teacher and the student's response to teachers' motivations. Here, she discusses some of the methodologies that she adopts in order to make her students understand English well and to use English language in written, spoken form confidently. Nisha is academically highly dedicated student. She follows all the rules that narrator has drawn out for regular students, like the practice of reading aloud. And she meticulously followed the 5 new words a day rule. Rest of the students, they have randomly followed narrator's instructions. Sometimes they could keep up with the instructions, sometimes they forgot. But it was Nisha who maintained a book in which she added her daily 5 new words, and thus she showed extreme dedication to this activity that had added to her own vocabulary, and it has sharpened her language skills. Nisha would stay late in the library to read newspaper because she lacked this facility at home. This impressed narrator a lot. She was the only student among the other regular students of the college she was constant in respecting her deadlines. She would submit everything beforehand. So, despite coming from a vernacular medium background, what is vernacular medium background? Not English medium. It can be any, regional medium background, that is Marathi, Hindi, Gujarati, any regional medium background, vernacular medium background. Nisha's persistence in mastering English, her willingness to volunteer for public speaking, make her an invaluable asset to the department. So whenever there is any elocution competition, any program where they need a computer, so it was Nisha who would come forward and willingly contribute. And gradually, the narrator, she realizes that Nisha has become one of her favorite students. It is Nisha who has taken up the project of displaying the headlines of the newspaper on the notice board meticulously and regularly. So all these activities that the narrator had taken earlier to sharpen the students' language skills, to make them read the newspaper daily, and to make them understand and develop their vocabulary, Nisha, in all these activities, she has participated with 100% sincerity. The professor now vows not to lose such an excellent student to an incongruous family decision. Incongruence, inappropriate. Reinforcing her commitment to fight for Nisha's future. Now, after too much of dilemma मतलब क्या होता है? Dilemma is a mental condition when a person is in dual mind. Person is unable to take any decision. For a long time, The narrator was dwindling between the idea of staying just as a detached mentor and guiding Nisha only professionally and not to, meddle with the decision of her family in any possible way. Now, after recollecting Nisha's persistence for mastering English, Nisha's sincerity as a student, Nisha's academic dedication, the teacher also decides that they should not lose such committed student. And she decided that she will fight for Nisha's future. Narrator, as we had already talked, she had already discussed the matter with her daughter Prabina, who gave her the solution that Nisha can buy some time by persuading, by cajoling her parents to allow her to pursue some professional course. Now, when narrator meets Nisha, she tells her about the strategy. Nisha is initially hesitant. She thinks over the strategy, she thinks over the plan, she weighs the pros and cons of the suggestion. She is a thinking girl. She is herself very mindful and thinking girl. And finally, she realizes that yes, this might be one of the ways through which she can buy some time for herself. A strategy that proposing a professional DED course to her parents as a compromise before marriage. Nisha's father relents, allowing her to enroll. Finally, Nisha's father also agrees and he allows her to enroll herself in the DED. Pursuing the degree builds her confidence and changes the family dynamic. When Nisha finally gets this professional qualification, professional certificate, diploma in DED, so her family's perspective changes. They now start looking at their daughter as a professional qualified girl. Nisha's confidence too builds up. With a professional qualification in hand, both Nisha and her father begins to value her potential. They decide to look for a matrimonial match that respect women's career aspirations. They do not want to put a kind of full stop to Nisha's career. On the contrary, they want her to marry in such family, those who are progressive in their thinking, and those who will help Nisha pursue her career further. Nisha gradually finds a supportive husband and a family who encourage her dreams. She completes her education and secures a teaching profession or position in a reputed school. Years later, the narrator invites Nisha to the college as a chief guest for a workshop, holding her up as a role model for other students. So Nisha is now a role model for other students to follow. She is the one who did not succumb to the societal pressure. On the contrary, she navigated her own path. She negotiated the challenges. And now Nisha, she comes to the author's college as the chief guest. Nisha, she delivers a mesmerizing speech in front of all the college going students as the chief guest at an event in narrator's college. She stands up there as a role model for others to follow. Many girls, they took inspiration from her example. Now, I hope you could all follow this, this presentation, and now by this time, you have understood the idea of this lesson, of this story, beautiful story, Nisha's story. Now it is time to recap. Here are some questions that I would like my students to answer. Some questions that I want my students to unmute and answer. Are the students listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. My first question is, do you think that the narrator has established herself as a trustworthy teacher? Throughout the narrative, पूरे स्टोरी में, मैं आपको हिंदी में भी समझाने की कोशिश करूंगी, आपको क्या ऐसा लगता है कि नरेटर जो है, इस स्टोरी का जो कथा कहने वाला जो पर्सन है, दैट इज द टीचर ऑफ द स्टोरी, उन्होंने अपने आप को, खुद को एक ट्रस्टवर्दी टीचर यानी एक विश्वसनीय, विश्वास पात्र टीचर के स्वरूप में स्थापित किया है. Has the narrator established herself as a trustworthy teacher?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes के बाद में मुझे आप बताइए how, कैसे, आपको क्यों लगा कि the narrator is really a trustworthy teacher?
Because, ma'am, I think because he is very sincere about his work, and he is responsibility. His responsibility he take very. क्या बोलेंगे मैम?
Yes, yes, बोलिए. Language should not be the barrier. I want that to know that if my students have understood or not. Yes.
I want to say, ma'am, there is every work has a responsibility. I think that the teachers complete the responsibility for her students, and this is the
Teacher has
so
not
I think,
only in the story, the teacher is not only worried about the students' academic, academic education, but on the other hand, the teacher is worried about the students' future. So
Yes.
this bonding, this trust, this relationship has, long-term implication. The teacher here has acted as a mentor, and she has influenced and helped create a bright future for her student, isn't it? So,
and teachers wants their students should be successful and be ambitious and go for the मतलब हर उनकी लाइफ जो है मैम सक्सेसफुल होना चाहिए, और टीचर्स चाहते हैं कि उनके जो हम दे सके, व्हाट इज द कंट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ देयर लाइफ, दैट इज पॉजिटिव वे, शुड बी पॉजिटिव वे, उनके जीवन में वो महत्व रखता है.
very nice, very nice, very nice. Now the next question. How does the story use the metaphor of speed, war, to describe the pressure of an arranged marriage? How does the narrator's strategy help Nisha buy time? देखिए वहां पर you will if you remember, there is a phrase like Nisha's family were engaged in the preparation of her wedding at war footing, right? एक ऐसा phrase आया था, at war footing, मतलब युद्ध के स्तर पर, right? मराठीत म्हणतात त्याला युद्ध पातळीवर, at war footing. So the narrator has used the metaphor of speed and war in the narrative. Okay, to show the emergency, to show the kind of pressure that arranged marriage people who are involved in arranged marriage they exert in the act of getting their daughters married. आपको इस तरह से उन्होंने यूज किया है ब्यूटीफुल मेटाफर. अब बताइए, डज द नरेटर स्ट्रेटेजी हेल्प निशा बाय टाइम? निशा को समय मिलता है नरेटर के स्ट्रेटेजी से इन द स्टोरी? डू यू हैव एनी आइडिया? आपको समझ में आया? What was narrator strategy? नरेटर ने कौन सी स्ट्रेटेजी बताई, कौन सा उपाय बताया निशा को कि अपने लिए समय खोजो, समय निकालो? Yes, can anyone answer?
I think, ma'am, first of all, narrator shows these. First of all, you achieve your goals, and after.
No, my question here is others should also come up and answer. Others should come up and answer. My question is, how does the narrator's strategy help Nisha by time? निशा को समय कैसा उसने बाय किया, समय कैसा उसको मिला बिकॉज ऑफ नरेटर्स स्ट्रेटेजी? Could Nisha pursue her qualification? Could she gain her academic degree? निशा को अपनी एकेडमिक डिग्री मिली?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Explain how Pravina's stupendous plan for DED course serve as a practical way for Nisha to gain independence and dignity. आपको प्रवीणा का प्लान क्या था वो लिखना पड़ेगा. You need to write down what was Pravina's plan, how she suggested that in the midst of her degree, Nisha should switch to DED course so that she'll be professionally qualified. At the same time, she can buy some time for herself. Now, the next question is, how do the daily habits of study, like learning 5 new words, prove that education is a powerful tool for social and economic mobility? आपका अगर daily habit of learning है, every day you are studying, you are not cramming at the end of the day. आप एंड ऑफ द डे में क्रैमिंग नहीं कर रहे हो, आप यू आर इन्वॉल्व इन एवरी डे एक्टिविटी, हर रोज आप पढ़ रहे हो. सो कैन इट हेल्प यू गेन द सोशल एंड इकोनॉमिकल स्ट्रेंथ? आप उस तरह से सोशो इकोनॉमिकल स्ट्रेंथ आप मिल पाएगा आपको? कैन एजुकेशन बी
Definitely.
Yes, definitely. Yes, education is a great, weapon.
Great problem. Yes, ma'am. I want to say.
Yes. In what way do college campus and its library act as a refuge or safe place for Nisha's aspiration compared to her home life? घर से ज्यादा कॉलेज में ही निशा को एक सुकून, शांति और रेफ्यूज मिलता था. ऐसा आपको लगता है इस स्टोरी को पढ़कर?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And many of the students might not be getting conducive atmosphere at home. They might be facing challenges like earning for the family or working at home, and they might not be getting ample time to read and to understand. So it is the library, Nowadays, the students, they are mostly glued to the telephone, mobile phones. I always request them to read the newspaper daily, to read the books of the authors, those whose lessons are prescribed. You read the entire book. You see how the writer has, has demonstrated different perspective and different stories. आप तो एक स्टोरी पढ़ते हो, एक ही एंगल राइटर के थिंकिंग का आप देख पाते हो. आपको उस राइटर के थिंकिंग के डिफरेंट शेड्स अगर देखने हैं, सो यू जस्ट रीड द बुक्स. And libraries are now getting barren, vacant. Libraries अभी क्या हो रहे हैं, बिल्कुल खाली हो रहे हैं. Students, they are relying more on electronic media. They are reading on their tabs, on their mobiles. But library is a place where you can physically access the books. You can read through those yellow pages, and the beauty of all those experiences, it is unmatchable. So my dear student friends, you should, this story, it conveys more than what it appears to convey. Just a minute. Just a minute. I'm sorry for intervention. Is my screen visible, Meenakshi madam?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry for the interruption. Wait. Yes. Analyze the final scene with the chief guest. How does it transform Nisha's private struggle into a moment of public success and recognition? So Nisha could finally come back to the same campus as the chief guest of some workshop in the college. So how is that scene? Does that scene really gives goosebumps to you when you read the story? आपको ये सीन पढ़कर रियली इंस्पायर्ड फील होता है या नहीं होता है? Yes, the scene is highly inspired. The beginning of the story, whether she'll be able to communication or not. And by the end of the story, because of intervention of her teacher's goodwill, her teacher's mentoring, Nisha could achieve a moment in her life when she could acclaim herself as publicly successful individual. अपने आप को एक ऐसा क्षण उनको मिला जब अपने आप को वो साबित कर पाई कि हाँ, मैं एक पब्लिकली बहुत सक्सेसफुल इंडिविजुअल हूँ. Now, what is your takeaway from the story, Nisha's story? इस स्टोरी से आपका क्या टेक अवे है, आप क्या सीखते हो?
Ma'am, that is, I learn about this story that the success is important for us and should be ambitious for everyone. And
Yes,
um, and study is a बहुत ज़्यादा important. It is a very important things that it play everyone life is to difficulties को दूर करते हैं. We can understand the strategy of our life and we can understand the situation and handle it the situations with the help of by studying. Our memory power is also inspires and increase our uh, मतलब हम
yes,
लोग का जो ये
yes, yes.
जो
Very good.
थिंकिंग है.
Very good. Thinking. Our thinking, it is channelized, inspired if we keep on studying. So we should always be aspiring to rise high, you know, always
Yes,
to always try to reach moon. You may fall among the stars, ऐसे कहा जाता है कि हमेशा अपने
yes,
लिए एक एक ऊंचा सा, एक बहुत हाई सा एक एम्बिशन अपने लिए आप सेट करिए, जिससे इफ यू कैन नॉट रीच मून एटलीस्ट यू मे फॉल अमंग द स्टार्स, यू नो,
and this
आप
should be
बहुत
for
आगे
extension. हाँ.
यस नहीं पहुंचे तो एटलीस्ट अपने जीवन में एक यथार्थ पोजीशन आप जरूर प्राप्त कर पाओगे. दैट इज व्हाट वी लर्न फ्रॉम निशा स्टोरी. शी डजंट गिव अप. वो हार
And
नहीं
that
मानती
is
है ना. शी
important
डजंट गिव
for
अप.
our
यस,
existence also.
yes, and she doesn't run away. She is persistently trying on her path, right? हमें ऐसा हम मैं हमेशा अपने स्टूडेंट से कहती हूँ कि कैप्टन वही बनता है जो कंटिन्यूअसली खेलता है. एक दिन आपने चौके छक्के लगा दिए और दूसरे दिन आपने कुछ भी नहीं किया, सो यू कैन नॉट बी अ सक्सेसफुल पर्सन. यू हैव टू डू इट रेगुलरली. आपको रेगुलरली करना है. यू हैव टू कीप ऑन टिकिंग, यू नो, आपको
Yes,
करते रहना है ना. सो सक्सेस इज नॉट समथिंग, अरे मैंने उस दिन वो किया था, सम लॉन्ग बैक आई हैव अचीव दिस. नो, इट इज अ कंटिन्यूअस प्रोसेस. आपको रेगुलरली कम करना है. यू हैव टू कीप ऑन ट्राइंग. And
yes,
you have to achieve it, and you should not yield to all those difficulties that will eventually come in our life. ये तो लाइफ का पार्ट एंड पार्सल है. सो समटाइम्स इट इज गुड, समटाइम इट इज bad.
then,
Now, some important idioms and phrases that are expertly used in this story that I wish to discuss with my students. Why? Because see, some of the writers are so good that reading their stories, they not only inspire you, they not only give you a fine thematic content, but at the same time they enrich your vocabulary. Right, I always tell you that read Somerset Maugham, read Ruskin Bond, read O Henry. You will get to learn so many new words, so many new vocabulary, so many new phrasal verbs, so many different phrases and idioms. In a similar manner, in this story also, writer has used some of the wonderful phrases that we need to discuss it here. One of the phrases is consciously conscious, meaning extremely conscious. In the opening stairway scene, the author uses this phrase, consciously conscious, to describe herself as a person who is extremely cautious and conscious of her bodily activities. And gradually, with this phrase itself, she establishes a trust among the readers as a reliable and mindful narrator. हम जब ये फ्रेज पढ़ते हैं, तभी हमको ध्यान में आता है कि ये हमारा जो नरेटर है, ये हमें इस स्टोरी में आगे तक खूब अच्छे से उंगली पकड़ के लेके जाएगा टिल द एंड ऑफ द स्टोरी. एंड द एंड विल बी रिवॉर्डिंग. एंड बहुत अच्छा रिवॉर्डिंग होगा. ये हमें इस पहले जो ओपनिंग लाइंस में ही जो ये सुंदर फ्रेज यूज किया है, कॉन्शियसली कॉन्शियस, ये हमें इस बात का एहसास दिलाता है. एम आई क्लियर? Now, the story reframes the arranged marriage urgency through the metaphor of speed and mobilization. हम देखते हैं in Indian social setting, the marriages are very important. If it is not important for the family where the daughter is, it is important for their relatives, you know. So there is a pressure tactic among the relatives, among the peers, among the colleagues, and the author has wonderfully described how the preparation of Nisha's wedding is going on in her family with this beautiful phrase, on war footing, meaning something organized very quickly, as if for some war and emergency. They were all arranging her wedding. They had enrolled her in matrimonial sites. They have told their relatives. They were trying to find out a groom for herself, as if they were preparing for some emergency. So it is a typical Indian mindset. When they decide on marrying a girl, it is as if the issue becomes extremely urgent and highly, imperative for them, right? Description of Nisha's burst into tears intensified the suspense of immediate crisis that Nisha wishes to communicate. When the writer looks at Nisha's sullen face, Nisha's, sad face, and when Nisha, before telling her story, she burst into tears, the story is dense with the suspense. What has happened to this girl? This is also one of the finest phrases the writer has used. Nisha's sad face was nibbling at my peace of mind. See how beautifully she described the condition of her mind when her student, she came up with her own worries. She said that sad face was constantly nibbling at my peace of mind. Meaning her sad face, her countenance, her expressions, that whenever she remembered them, she was full of worries. Expressions like to the vagaries of some incongruous decision. It is highly rhetoric. Vagaries, whims of some incongruous decision. मतलब ऐसा कोई decision which is inappropriate. Writer decides that yes, she is going to help her student out. She will not allow her student fall prey to any incongruous, any inappropriate decisions of her parents' whimsicality. Right? So ये बहुत सुंदर rhetoric expression writer ने यहाँ use किया है. Some other phrases जैसे prone to mood swings, stand out differently, laid bare, shrug off the thought with guilt, to stick to plan. ये भी कुछ बहुत सुंदर देखिए phrases इस स्टोरी में यूज किया है. prone to mood swings, किसके बारे में बोला गया है? Human being. We are not constant like birds and animals, like other elements of nature. We want आज नया क्या है? We want every day it should be new. Every day it should be different. And in pursuit of many things, in pursuit of success, in pursuit of pleasure, in pursuit of happiness, we are faced with the situations where our mood, they faces some swings, some changes, mood swings, prone to mood swings. Human beings are, vulnerable. They are more faced. They have more chances of getting mood swings. इसका मतलब ऐसा होता है. Stand out differently. Who stood out differently in this story? It is Nisha. She is unlike other students. She was a different student. Laid bare. Who laid bare all her thoughts? It is Praveena who laid bare her strategic plan in front of her mother. Shrug off the thought of guilt. Who shrugged off the thought of guilt? It is the teacher, the narrator, who shrugged off, झटक देना, सारे guilt का ख्याल मन से झटक देना. टू स्टिक टू प्लान, अपने प्लान में जो आपने प्लान किया है उस प्लान में से बने रहना. Such thoughts hovering over my stressful mind. See, there are some expressions, beautiful expressions. उसके थॉट्स जो है मेरे स्ट्रेसफुल माइंड पे हॉवर कर रहे हैं. ड्रोन हॉवर करता है, ऐसे घूमते रहता है, यानी आपके मन में एक ही विचार बार बार आ रहा है. योर माइंड इज ऑक्युपाइड विद अ सिंगल थॉट. To my utter dismay, that means I was totally disappointed. So looking at the pros and cons of किसी चीज का अच्छा साइड और बुरा साइड दोनों भी जांच पड़तालना, that is to look at the pros and cons of, and ways and means to convince. There are so many ways, so many means to convince. किसी को मनाने के बहुत सारे तरीके, right? So these are the beautiful expressions that has been used, and one of the recurrent idiom that has been very aptly used in the story, and that I'll say is the crux of the story, that is fortune favors the brave. If you are brave enough to take the command of your life in your hand, fortune will definitely favor you. आपका नसीब आपके हाथ में है, आपके ही मुट्ठी में आपके हाथ की रेशा है, तो उसको आप किस तरह से हाउ यू कार्व आउट योर ओन फ्यूचर, इट इज इन योर ओन हैंड. आपके हाथ में ही वो है. ओके, विद दिस वर्ड्स आई विल स्टॉप माई शेयरिंग हियर. मैं यहाँ पर अपना शेयरिंग स्टॉप करती हूँ, एंड I would like to ask my student friends, if there are any queries from your end, you please feel free to ask. आप पूछिए, अगर आपको कुछ पूछना है इस स्टोरी के बारे में, कुछ आपको डाउट्स आते हैं, you please feel free to inquire.
Okay, ma'am. My question is two questions I already
Yes, Rafia.
right.
Yes, Rafia, please go ahead.
What is your opinion about the difficulties for a woman during profession? This is my first question. What is your opinion, ma'am?
Yes.
About it?
See, I should not give any feminist opinion, although the entire story has got a feminist angle. Pardon me if I am talking a little bit feminist way. So this is the world of men. Whether you are staying inside your house, whether you are stepping out in the professional world, a woman is bound to face challenges everywhere, right? So challenges are different. It depends on the area where you're working and the profession that you have chosen. Like we are in teaching profession, we have got our colleagues who are educated, learned, culture. So intensity of those challenges are lesser for us. हम लोगों के लिए ये intensity जो है challenge के कम है. But if you are choosing for yourself a career which is more male dominated, there your authority will be challenged, your quality will be challenged, your capability will be challenged at every step. So challenges are everywhere. For example, I'll give you an example. Driving an auto rickshaw has been always a male dominated domain, isn't it, Rafia?
Yes.
Driving an auto rickshaw, driving a cab for students, vans for students, school students, had been always a male dominated area. But if you see a female driver in a cab, in a school bus, in an auto rickshaw, don't you stare at them for some time? Don't you yourself stare at them for some time? तुम खुद आश्चर्य से देखती हो कि नहीं देखती उनको?
Yes, madam.
Yes. So yes, but नहीं, उसके आगे नहीं, but तक ही बताओ तुम खुद उसको सरप्राइज करती हो कि नहीं? तुम्हारे लिए स्टेयरिंग नेचुरल है, बट फॉर द ड्राइवर द स्टेयरिंग इज इंटिमिडेटिंग. जो बैठा है, तो ऐसे बहुत चैलेंजेस आते हैं व्हेन अ वुमन कम्स आउट ऑफ हर कंफर्ट जोन आउटसाइड एवरीवेयर. So does that mean that she should stop? No. She should learn to negotiate all these challenges. She should not come up with her swords and be Jhansi Rani all the time. Right? So there are ways. आप सॉफ्टली उसे एनालाइज करो, अपने ब्रेन में पहले सोचो कि व्हाट कैन बी द वे आउट, व्हाट इज द मोर पीसफुल वे आउट टू सच चैलेंजेस, या आप सोचो और उसी तरह से आगे जाना है. बिकॉज you know, if you are exerting yourself and you are using your most of the energy in all these things, you might not achieve greater height. You know, आपका सारा एनर्जी आप उसमें ही लगा दोगे. Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. Also, the ambition is important. Explain the ambitions is important for us.
Yes, vision is important. How do you visualize yourself in life? That is more important. आपके जीवन का एक विजन और मिशन हर किसी का होना जरूरी है कि आप क्या करना चाहते हो, क्या बनना चाहते हो जीवन में. ये हर किसी के लिए, ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स, दोज हु आर अटेंडिंग, सबके लिए ही है ये कि आपके जीवन का विजन एंड मिशन आपका क्लियर होना बहुत जरूरी है. देन ओनली इन दैट डायरेक्शन यू कैन कंटिन्यू. यस.
So thank you very much, madam. Your confident delivery and effective way of narrative style kept the students attentive throughout. The session not only enhanced our knowledge, but also motivated us to explore the story from the perspective of gender, patriarchy, ethics, and persistent endurance, which was very lucidly explained by you, ma'am. And the question answer section and the deliberation of idioms and phrases served fruitful to the students from exam point of view. So thank you very much, ma'am, for your invaluable guidance and sharing your valuable time on this digital platform. So on behalf of the cluster colleges, I extend my heartfelt thankfulness to today's resource person, Dr. Renuka Roy, madam, for accepting the invitation and enlightening our students with your valuable insights. So with the permission of the chair, I declare that the session is over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Meenakshi madam.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.